I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Yanina. I am a transformational coach. Just to give you a little idea what I'm doing professionally, so you understand why I'm standing here talking about self-love. Basically, transformational coach means the same thing as life coach. If you don't know what life coaching is, basically coach is the person who helps you to move from where you are in your life towards where you want to be. And how coach is doing it, it's by providing you a secure and safe, non-judgmental, which is a very important space, where you can talk about whatever you want to talk. And coach is listening to you and asking you questions. And this is all as a coach I'm doing. And basically by finding the answers on my questions within, you kind of help yourself. So this is what coaches are doing. Coaching is a very powerful technique. It can't help with it can't help with every issue, but it can help with in a lot of areas of your life. It can really propel you towards where you want to be. So yes, this is what I'm doing professionally. Now, who am I to do this talk? Because you can ask me, like, who are you? You're not an author, you haven't written a book. Why are you talking about self-love? So I'm going to tell you. I borrowed those words from one author who I really, really like. This guy, he wrote a book about self-love, and he said, I'm qualified enough to write a book about self-love only because I didn't love myself for the biggest part of my life. And I can apply it to me because I didn't love myself for the biggest part of my life until I was 34 years old, and then I made the switch. So 4 years later, I'm 38 now, I know both. I know what it means not to love yourself at all and thinking that you're nothing but a pretty girl, and that's it, and it's very sad. And then making a switch and actually kind of fighting the sides of myself and just accepting myself for who I am without needing to have any proofs from outside. So that's why I feel myself eligible to talk tonight about self-love, okay? So now, why I'm doing it and why I think it's very important. I think it's very important to teach people about self-love. I'm gonna give you a quote. If you don't mind, I'm gonna give you some quotes today. I'm a big fan of quotes. So this one is from Dalai Lama. And he said, this planet doesn't need more successful people. The planet desperately needs more peacemakers, healers, restorers, storytellers, lovers of all kinds. And this is beautiful, isn't it? Yes and no?
Yes.
Because if you look at our planet, what's going on now, I mean, I'm not going to talk about politics, I'm very bad in politics, but look at climate change, look at our environment, how we're polluting our planet, how we don't like ourselves because there are so many fashion magazines telling us how we should look like. There are so many I mean, I don't want to blame social media because I think it's a great thing to get your message out there, but still, you know, sometimes social media also gives us the wrong message. Check Instagram, you know, and all those photos. I think that at this moment, we really need people who will be kind to other people and who will make some change. And how can you be kind to other people? But first, being kind to yourself. You can't give what you don't have, okay? So obviously, I hope you understand that you cannot heal anybody if you don't heal yourself first. You can't become a peacemaker if you didn't find a peace inside of you. You can't become a lover, not in a sexual way, but a loved person who gives love if you don't know what to love yourself means. So you need to find all these things first within, towards yourself, and then to spread it. So yes, that's why I think it's very, very important to talk about self-love everywhere. So now the structure of this talk, because I was thinking, what shall I tell you, you know, how I should structure it, and because I have so much information, so much knowledge in my head, obviously I can't squeeze them in 1 hour. It's really difficult. It was so difficult to put it all together. And it was a torture for the past months, and I told myself, you know what, just relax. And I chose the road of less resistance. So I said, okay, I'm gonna talk my truth, so I'm gonna share with you my understanding of the concept of self-love. I'm gonna speak in very, very simple language, because this is the way how I know to speak. There was no point for me to, you know, learn by heart passages from books of famous authors who talk about self-love and then quote them here, because you can do it yourself. So it's going to be my truth about self-love. Also, what else I wanted to say about this? Yes, so I'm gonna talk a little bit, and then I want to give you examples, and those examples will be from my personal life. And I am a believer that sharing our stories, actually, it's very powerful to share our stories. And what is important, that not to share our success stories, but to share our failures, our miseries, our misfortunes, things when we really felt small, when we treated ourselves without being kind, and where it brought us. Because I think it's so powerful, somebody's just sharing his or her story, and you recognize yourself in that story. So it kind of helps you, first of all, to connect with this person, and then you tell yourself, you know what, actually, I'm not alone in my misery, because this person in front of me went through exactly the same stuff. And I think you need to be very brave and vulnerable to be able to say, you know what, I will tell you the story from my past, you're gonna cry now, how bad it was. And there are a few motivational speakers and authors who I love, and I follow them in States, and sometimes I watch some interviews with them, and when they start sharing very personal stuff and very sad stories, I don't know, sometimes I feel so grateful to them to sharing it with people, because I don't feel, at those moments, I don't feel alone. And we all walk in the same road at the end of the day. So yes. And another thing I was thinking, obviously I don't know you, so I don't know what your relationship with self-love are. And I thought, okay, which kind of material shall I talk about? And I thought, okay, there is some of you are, let's say, the beginners. So you're just at the beginning of your path. You're kind of getting familiar with all this self-love idea. Then there will be another group of people who kind of advanced users of self-love. So for you, maybe things which I'm going to tell tonight, you will be like, oh, come on, I know everything. Like, this is so basic. Then probably there are more of you people who have no ideas what self-love is. I don't know, you saw the poster, you like my picture, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go and listen to this girl, what she has to say. And then also, there is my support team sitting here, and they came to support me, and I think if I talked about anything, guys, I know you would come anyway to support me. So yes, I hope that all of you will find something in my talk, and then it will be useful and it will resonate with you. So I want to start today by giving you the definition of self-love. Then I will move to what it means to not to love yourself. Then I will move to what it means to love yourself. And then I will talk about how to make a switch, okay? And I want to dedicate this talk to someone. And I was not going to do it, but things happen in life. Do you know who Louise Hay was?
Louise Hay.
Louise Hay. So I'll just explain you. Louise Hay was a beautiful human being. It was a lady she was an author, lecturer, motivational speaker. She was the queen of affirmations. So this is the woman who brought affirmations to broad public at the beginning of 80s. She was the founder of Hay House. If you know, Hay House is the biggest publishing house which publishes authors talking about spirituality and self-development. So Louise Hay was it's a legend. She passed away at the end of August, and I didn't know her personally, obviously, but it kind of, just to keep her legacy alive, I learned a lot personally from her. And so I'm doing this talk. It's my little contribution to work of her life, and the work of her life was to teaching the people to love themselves. And I do understand that this is a drop in the ocean, but ocean consists of little drops. So this is for Louise Hay, okay? And so now we're gonna jump to self-love. Let me just check the time. We're fine. I'm not speaking too fast, no? It's okay?
No.
Okay. So what is self-love, okay? Because I know it sounds a little bit cheesy. My Russian family would tell me, self-love? Do you want me to be selfish? So it has nothing to do with being selfish. If you don't like, or you're not comfortable with the term self-love, You can call it self-esteem, self-worth, self-acceptance, self-compassion, or you can use the term which I used to, I used it at the beginning of my journey with self-love, I am enough. So you have a good relation, when you feel that you are enough, it means that you more or less love yourself. The opposite of not loving yourself is I'm not enough or I'm not good enough. And unfortunately, most of us, we live all our life feeling not good enough. Okay? I'm gonna give you another quote from somebody. Self-love comes down to self-knowledge, self-acceptance, and self-forgiveness. And this is the lady who said that it's Ruby Barrington. There is this blog and also the Instagram profile is called The Numinous. It's quite famous, I don't know if you know, but she's kind of all about self-love as well. So now I gave you the definition. Let's go to what it means I'm not good enough. So I'm not good enough, it is when we, give me 1 second, I'm gonna, here we are. So this is from my collection, this is what I used to think about myself. I'm not clever enough, I'm not educated enough, I'm not funny enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not toned enough, I'm not slim enough, I'm lazy, I procrastinate, I have no discipline, I have no deep knowledge in any subject, I'm a mess, I'm unlovable. So, do you recognize anything? It's sad, isn't it? This is so sad.
Sure.
I could consider, obviously, I could continue more and more and more. So, let me just move here. So, when you don't love yourself or you believe that you're not enough, you're not good enough, what happens? You start to criticize yourself, or you beat yourself up, or you hate yourself, depends on degree, all the time. And the more things you don't like in yourself, the more often you actually criticize yourself. So imagine how hard it is to live always in the state that I'm not good enough in this, I'm not good enough in this. And so what happens next? That if you think that you're not good enough, you don't believe that you deserve things. So you don't believe that you deserve good relationship, beautiful romantic relationship. You don't believe that you deserve a good job, a job which you want to do, the job of your dream. You don't believe that you don't deserve money. And you can continue on and on and on. And there is another thing that not only you think it about yourself, but you also you attract people which prove you that you are actually what you think about yourself. Okay? Also, when you don't love yourself, you don't, because you don't know your value, you don't set up boundaries for people. And when you don't have boundaries, people step all over you. They take advantage of you, they treat you with disrespect, and so on. Of course. So now, a little bit of science here. You know that Einstein said that we are all energy, so we are vibrating on certain frequency. He said that E equals mc squared. So the thing is that, and I do believe it, my personal belief as well, that we vibrate on certain frequency. They say that the highest frequency is love and the lowest frequency is fear. So when you vibrate, when you're feeling that you're not good enough, you vibrate on somewhere there. And the same as radio waves, they kind of, how to say, well, they attract waves which vibrate on the same frequency. So the same you attract people in your life who vibrating also there. So if you thinking very low about yourself, you will attract people, whether it's your partner or your friends or your co-workers, which will vibrate also somewhere there, and they will treat you, well, consequently, they will not love themselves either, and they will treat you not very nicely. So yes, this is what happens. Yeah. Well, I could add more here, but I guess you see what I mean. Now I'm just thinking. I just realized actually I forgot to tell you something, but I will tell you later. It doesn't matter. It's just you feel so when you missed the whole paragraph. Anyway, so now I hope you don't mind. I will give you examples from real life. Okay. because theory is theory, sometimes it's boring. So now examples. And they're not from my life, but it's kind of a compilation of the things which I witnessed in my life. Okay, I lived long enough to see a lot of things, if you don't mind, I'm going to talk about romantic relationship. Is it okay for everybody? Because all we want is love. All we need is love, and I think that some of us openly, some of us secretly, all we want, guys, we want a partner next to us, a partner with who we would be able to share our life, and not because it's easier to pay the bills or because I'm in the age when I have to have kids, otherwise it's going to be too late, but the partner who would accept me just the way I am, the partner who wouldn't criticize me, who wouldn't tell me what to do, who wouldn't tell me that I'm fat and ugly and I need to go to the gym, who wouldn't give me unsolicited advice, this is the worst thing ever, and with whom I would feel comfortable enough to share my dreams, my fears, my failures, some things from my past which I consider to be dark moments, So we all want this kind of partner. But the thing is that to get this partner, it's not that easy, because to attract this kind of partner, first of all, we need to believe that we deserve it. So how you gonna attract this amazing, perfect guy or girl if you don't believe that you deserve it, right? And the second thing is that you need to become this kind of partner. Because imagine if I don't love myself and I think that I'm not good enough in any area of my life. So the perfect partner coming into my life, and he's telling me, Yanina, you're perfect. I love you just the way you are. You know what's gonna happen? I'm not gonna believe him. I'm not gonna believe him. This is the first thing. I will make him suffer, and I will also pick on him all the time, because I don't accept him the way he is, because I don't accept myself. So if you want beautiful relationship, some people say this relationship don't exist. They do exist, but you need to kind of raise your vibration level, and then you will meet this kind of partner. I do believe that they exist. So now, back to examples. So I hope it's not going to sound too cheesy, but it's life, and I'm sure you encountered this kind of situations in your life. So imagine this. I'm going to give you two examples. First, the good girl and the bad guy. So good girl, say Yanina, in her 30s, all she wants to meet a partner, and she wants to have a beautiful relationship. So she met a guy somewhere, she goes for a date with him, the date goes beautifully, and she already, because she's so desperate to be with somebody, so she already thinks, she looks at the guy, and she already thinks, oh, he's like good material for potential boyfriend, and then she's already imagining how she's gonna marry him, and she's already choosing her wedding dress, and she's already choosing the napkins on the table, the color of the napkins. So this is all during the first date, and this happens with girls. Just on time. So, yes. Anyway, the date goes very good. They have a bottle of wine, and you can imagine, after a bottle of wine, it's very easy to talk, right? If you had 2 bottles of wine, it's even easier to talk. So try to talk when you're sober. She's coming home, so Yanina is coming home, and she is waiting a text for the guy, because if the guy is well-mannered, he will text her saying that, Yanina, thank you so much for the date, it was really lovely to meet you. And if the guy wants to see me the second time, he will text me saying, so when can I see you the next time? So this is what well-mannered guys do. No text whatsoever. So Yanina, what shall I do? Shall I text him first? And she's thinking, it's 21st century, it doesn't matter who is texting first. Okay, she sends him a message saying, listen, thank you so much for this wonderful evening, hope to see you again. No answer whatsoever. 4 days later, the guy texts her, 9 o'clock in the evening, Saturday. Hi babe, do you want to come to mine for pizza and movie? And here, Yanina is thinking that something is wrong here, because her gut feeling is telling her, listen, hold on a second. If the guy is really into you, he's not gonna invite you for the second day in this way. It's way too easy. So why doesn't he give you an appropriate notice? And her gut feeling is telling her, don't go, because no. But because she's so desperate to get into a relationship, she's telling herself again, no, it doesn't matter, because first of all, she's scared that if she's not going to see the guy, he's not gonna text her again. So she's like, oh, okay, I have nothing to do tonight, I'm gonna go. So the guy, he knows that Yanina is vegan and gluten-free. Do you think he's gonna get the pizza which is vegan and gluten-free? No way. He's gonna order the pizza from Domino's with pepperoni. He doesn't care, okay? So she comes to his place, she has pizza, movie, okay, she stays overnight, there is nothing bad about it, okay? But the thing is, the end of the story will be, she will probably never see him again, or probably she will see him again, but it's gonna be on his terms. And the thing is, you can't say that this guy is the bad guy, but the only thing is that they have different expectations. The guy liked her, but he didn't like her enough to have something serious. And Yanina, he liked the guy, but instead of giving herself enough value and saying, hold on a second, if you want to have the second date with me, maybe you should invite me, give me notice, and invite me in some place, I don't know, to go for a walk in Hyde Park. So she's selling herself small, and she is agreeing on something which she knows deep inside it's not good. So the moral of the story, the guy actually is not the bad guy, he's just trying his luck, and Yanina doesn't love herself enough. That's it. And as you can understand, the guy is not going to be her Mr. Darcy. No, she will have to find another one. Okay? So now, I'm going to switch. I'm going to do the bad girl and the good boy. And this happens all the time as well. For example, imagine again Yanina. Now she's a little bit cuckoo. So Yanina meets a guy. They like each other, they start dating, but the thing is that Yanina had a difficult childhood. She's traumatized somewhere in the past, and she dragged all this trauma in her current life. Never healed it because she never knew that she needs actually healing. So she's dating this guy, and the only way she believes the guy can prove that he actually loves her is by investing money in her. So the poor guy brings her to the fanciest restaurants in London, spends plenty of money, spends all his savings, but she takes it, and that's okay for her. She knows what his job is, she can estimate roughly how much he earns, but she doesn't care. It's gonna get worse. So, and then one day she's telling him, listen, you know what, I was thinking, it's really nice to have, this breakfast in Paris with like view on Eiffel Tower. So what the guy is doing, because he's so in love with her and he wants to prove her that he loves her, he's going to get a credit card because he doesn't have money anymore at all. He buys the last minute tickets to Eurostar Saturday morning. He books the beautiful hotel, he brings her to Paris, they're having this beautiful breakfast with croissants looking at Eiffel Tower, and the guy thinks that he got her love now. Now she's gonna be his. He deserves to be loved by her. But what happens is that it's never gonna be enough for Yanina. So then they go for a walk. All of a sudden, in the middle of Champs-Élysées, she is making a lemon face. And he starts asking her, like, are you okay? What's going on here? Did I do something to you? Did I say something wrong? And she's telling him, no, that's fine. Just leave me alone. I just need time with myself. So she hurts him because he takes all his blame, but he takes all the blame. She doesn't care. Then they pass near a Chanel store. She's pointing in the window saying, you know what, Chanel bags, they're really beautiful. If only I could have one, it's a timeless classic, so I would be the happiest girl in the world. So you know what the guy is doing? He starts already thinking and doing an action plan, how he gonna get money to buy a Chanel bag for Yanina. 3,500 euros, probably 2 of his salaries, but Yanina doesn't care. And the guy also, he thinks that this is how he will get her. So the end of the story will be really sad, because it will last until either Yanina finds another victim, another prey, and she will leave the guy, or the guy will be so on his knees, because I will torture him, I will squeeze all the life out of him, like a lemon, and he will say, you know what, Yanina, I had enough. And he will break up with me. Okay? So again, if you look at the story, so Yanina is the bad girl, but the thing is that the good guy, he doesn't love himself enough. He yeah, he doesn't set up any boundaries. So this is his choice. We all have free will, and he's staying with the girl like Yanina. And again, it's sad, because probably this nice guy could meet really nice girl who would love him for what he is, without making him spending fortune on Chanel bags or whatever. Yes, so these were my examples. I could give you more examples from professional life, but I think we don't have enough time. So I think we should move. Is it really sad? And I'll just check how much time we have. Well, we have quite enough time. And also, talking about it, I will touch a little bit like work environment. For those of you who work in corporate environment, you know how sometimes it's hard and how sometimes you really treat it unfairly. So again, and I know it because I worked in corporate environment in London when I just arrived in London. And sometimes people try to believe that you're unworthy, that you're really bad in what you're doing. They try sometimes to sack you, and so on. And so you always have a choice. Either you stay or you go, or sometimes you need to stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself, meaning you need to take a lawyer and just fight back, because, you know, it's not very easy to lose a job. I mean, it's not a pleasant thing. So yes, shall we move on? Now, I would like to tell you, so where the lack of self-esteem and self-love is coming from. So where are we getting all this, I'm not good enough? We are getting it in our childhood. We're forming those limiting beliefs during first 7 years of our life. And why it happens? Because basically, we perceive all the events happening with us with our child's brain. So we attach the meaning to the events which another person would never attach. As far as I understand it, it's very simplistic explanation of this, but it's almost like we dramatizing everything. I'll give you an example. For example, I'm a mother. I'm on the playground with my daughter. My daughter doesn't want, because she's shy, to go to play with those girls. So instead of leaving her alone and saying, whatever, you don't want to go there, stay, play with me, I'm telling her, darling, don't be a coward. Go and play with those girls. So you know what I'm doing? I'm helping her to form a limiting belief, because what she's hearing, I am a coward. And obviously, me as a mother, I don't have a bad intention, but unintentionally, I'm forming her limiting belief. And obviously, I'm going to repeat this again and again and again and again, and then she will have this limiting belief in her mind, which will be really, really unrooted. Yes. And when I was thinking about it, when actually I understood all this concept, I told myself, okay, you know what? When I have my kids, for the first 7 years of their life, I'm not going to allow anybody to approach them. So I'm going to be 24/7 with them, and then for the first 7 years. But you understand, it's mental. It's a utopia. Yeah, it's called utopia. So you can't do it. So even if me as a parent, I'm doing really, I pay attention to the way I speak with my kids. Then there will be grandparents. You can't control them sometimes. There will be teachers in the kindergarten, and then school, and then so on, uni, and it will escalate. So this is how we get to believe that we're not good enough. So if you don't know what limiting belief is, it's very simple. Basically, limiting belief, it's a statement which we believe to be true, okay? Because somebody somewhere in the past repeated us so many times that, again, it became truth for us. The good thing is that you can actually undo all your limiting beliefs, and you can create new beliefs which will be not limiting. But this is another story. If you want, I can share with you where I got all my limiting beliefs. And as I see it now, I think I really touched the ground with me not loving myself at all. So I'm coming from a very nice family. I would never change my family and my parents for anything. However, well, I was born in Russia, in Soviet Union. My parents were born in Soviet Union as well. My parents have no clue what self-love is. And obviously they never taught me to love and appreciate myself, because they don't know what it is. And I think that my parents don't know how to love themselves. Yeah. So I got it first from my parents, then kindergarten, yes, I remember some sad moments. And then I went to school. So I did school and university in Russia. And me, even though I'm very grateful to my Russian education, however, I have to admit that in Russia, teachers don't praise you. They put you down, they humiliate you, they belittle you. So things which you do well, they will never tell, oh, this actually well done, amazing. You should be proud of you. But they saying out loud how bad you are. So again, and also the same happens at uni. I did 5 years of uni in Russia. So yeah, there were really moments when I felt so little. And I think sometimes it was so bad that now when I look back in my school years, I'm telling myself, and I'm talking because my friends in Russia, we were at school together sometimes, so we're discussing all these memories, and I'm saying, you know what? If somebody now tells those things to my child, I don't have kids yet, but I will, I'm gonna sue this person immediately for these words, because this is unacceptable. But well, this happened to me. So me, by the age of 22, so I finished uni, I graduated at 22, had master degree in children's psychology. I thought that I was nothing, just a pretty girl with blonde hair, that's it. So now when I look back, it's so sad to think about yourself that you are actually nothing. So it's almost like I didn't see anything good which I have. And it's not about diplomas or degrees or certificates. It's just to actually appreciate you as a human being, your kindness, your everything you have inside of you. And the good side, I mean, the light, your light, but also your darkness, because we as a human being, we are spiritual beings having human experience, and we have light and darkness in equal amounts. Well, this is again, it's like spiritual stuff, but this is what I believe in. So the most difficult thing is to accept our darkness. And then what happened next with me, that I had a job, because sometimes by accident we get to work in a company where we have no clue what we're doing here. So I was working in a company, I was an interpreter in an engineering company. So I was working with the engineers, and I didn't understand why I couldn't be one of those. I wanted to have my own project, and now it makes me laugh, because now I want to tell myself, Yanina, are you crazy or what? Like, you're not engineer, you were trained as a psychologist, you're good in languages, literature, history, and so on. Why would you want to become an engineer? And what kind of killed me, what put me down like this, like with my face on the floor, with regards to self-love, I was in a relationship for 4.5 years with a guy who was a wonderful person, but unfortunately he was a passive-aggressive, because he also didn't love himself enough, and he had a lot of issues in his childhood. And I can tell you that 4.5 years with a passive-aggressive person, it can really destroy you emotionally. And this is what happened to me. And so when I was 27 years old, so this is when 27, basically I thought that it's so sad that I was nothing, but just nothing. And at that time I already lived in Paris, I studied in Paris, I supported myself financially. So I didn't notice any of those, okay? And so yeah, I was, and it's funny how people, you could never see it from outside. You would look at me, you would say, Yanina, pretty girl, she comes across so confident, but inside I thought I was a fraud who didn't deserve anything in her life. And actually when I moved to London, because I wanted to move to London, but I thought 10 years ago, I thought that London was for smart people, not for me, for engineers, bankers, doctors, but not for a girl like Yanina. I studied marketing when I lived in Paris. I studied marketing and in luxury business. So anyway, you know what happened? So I wanted to move to London, but I thought it was impossible. You know what happened? I found a job. So this is the universe showed me that actually, no, girl, you were something. I found a job. The guy who hired me believed in me. They did a work permit for me because I'm Russian. I needed all this paperwork. This is what's the challenge is, because if I was European, there would be no problem at all for me to move from country to country. So this is how I moved to London. And after this, for many, many years, I still believe that I got that job by chance. So I thought, okay, no, it was only chance, I'm a lucky one, but actually I don't deserve anything. And it's actually very, very sad. now it's not that I'm sorry about myself, no, because I'm not that girl anymore, but when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I'm really sorry about that girl, you know, she's so nice, she's so sweet, she's so smart. Why would she think about herself this way? This is just so, Yes, so this is my story. Can I give you this another quote here? I really like it. So this is from Albert Einstein. So he said, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. So this is basically what happened to me when I was working in this engineering company. I was comparing myself with the guys, and I was fish who tried to climb the trees. Come on. So now, let me just check the time. Yeah, that's okay. So, now, where are we? How do we know that we have a lack of self-love? So this is difficult, right? Because again, myself, I didn't know that I had this problem. So I had this chronic disease of not loving myself. I didn't know. I had no ideas. Nobody told me. I thought I was okay until my 34. So this guy, I mentioned him already. His name is David Hamilton. He's a researcher and brilliant guy. He wrote this book, I Heart Myself. So he said that when you feel that, when you tell to yourself, I had enough. So this is basically where you make a switch from not loving yourself to actually taking some actions towards saying, well, I'm actually enough. So this is acknowledging that you need to change the way you think is it's the step towards self-acceptance. And also, this, I heard it somewhere, somebody said that basically the first step to healing is to realize that actually you have things to heal. So it's just the desire to change. So now, hold on a second. Oh yes, you know who Elizabeth Gilbert is?
Yeah.
The author of Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah.
So she's a brilliant woman, and I listened to one of her interviews recently, and she said, she was talking about self-acceptance, and she said, sometimes people say, oh, I wish I left that marriage 7 years ago. I wish I started this business 3 years ago. And she says, and my response is to this, no, you couldn't leave that marriage 7 years ago because you were not ready. You didn't learn your lesson. Because if you were ready, you would have left that message. If you were ready, you would have started this business. So basically her point is, and this is my point as well, this is my very, very strong belief that we are exactly where we are supposed to be at every moment of our life. So there is no such thing that, oh, I'm too late, or I'm too early, or I could have done this, or I could have done this. No. We are exactly where we are supposed to be. And we move on when we learn our lesson. Yes. So, give me 1 second, please. Now, so the journey of self-acceptance. So imagine, for example, that you kind of heard somewhere, oh, self-love, or somebody told you need to love yourself more, you need to accept yourself more. I'm going to share with you my story because again, it's just very illustrative to what happened to me and how I actually came to it. It was an accident, but as we all know, there are no accidents in this world. So what happened to me? 4 years ago, back to 2013, so I lived all my life, I worked in luxury retail back then, not loving myself badly. My mom got cancer. My mom had lymphoma, and this is when I was very scared to lose her. I I became vegan. I started to read a lot of books about cancer, about like healthy diet and all this stuff. And what started to happen with me that at the same time, on my feed on Facebook, the articles started to pop up out of nowhere about self-acceptance and self-compassion. And you know, these articles from it's very famous. There is Tiny Buddha, there is Mind, Body, Green. So, and those articles were very, very simple. So I started to read them. Okay. I didn't invite them to my life, they came by themselves. So I started to read them, I started to save all of them in my bookmarks, I remember I read some of them I read like few times in order to understand them, but they were like really, really simplistic, and as I understand it now. And then there was another thing happening to me, that quotes started to pop up. And I'm a fan of quotes, so I started to save them. And you know, sometimes when I felt down, I would go just through the quotes in my phone. So this was the first thing to me, okay? And the first thing which I accepted in myself was the amount of knowledge I had. Because I always thought that I was not even clever enough, that I always believed that I didn't have enough knowledge in any area, because I have a lot of interests. I always thought, oh, my knowledge is so shallow everywhere. So I came to realize that actually everything I knew in my life was enough. So the books which I didn't read, it was okay not to read them. And other things which I didn't know, it was fine. So I accepted this. This is the thing number one I accepted in me. And I was so proud of it, you can't imagine. So, and then what happened next? It was just the beginning. I went to Colombia for my friend's Monica wedding. And this is actually, I'll just make a pause here. So I also do believe that, you know the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Or then there is another one, my friend Dominika told it to me. At the right moment, the right book will fall off the shelf. Beautiful. So what happened to me? My teacher appeared like this in Colombia. So I was in Colombia, and I had a conversation with mother of my friend. We were on a small island in the middle of Caribbean, beautiful, and we were sitting like next to each other. There were no people around, and all of a sudden, she started to talk to me about self-acceptance, about living in the moment, about enjoying little things, about appreciating now, not worrying about tomorrow, and other things. And the thing is, now I'm thinking, why did she start to talk to me about this? And now I think that probably because my energy, I was vibrating so low, and I think I was emanating this energy of not self-acceptance, that she just felt it. So this conversation, in some way, opened something in my mind. So I came back to London, and I was like this, okay, I think I'm done, I'm enough. So no, it was literally like this, but what I didn't know, that once you start to accepting yourself, because there are a lot of things to accept, the more things which you didn't accept will come to the surface. And it's, you know, people compare it when you peel the skins from the onion. So you just peel them and they never end. So this is what happened to me, because as life showed me, well, I have been on this journey for the past 4 years. Once you accept one thing, then something else is coming out from your past. It's some wound which was not healed, and you need to deal with it. And they're coming, you know, they're coming like a, how you call it, spots on the surface on your body. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't deal with this, I didn't deal with this and with that. So I think that learning to accept ourselves, it's long life process. I haven't met anybody who would say, you know what, I think I love myself and that's forever. Well, maybe Louise Hay, maybe she was like this. But yes, it's a long process. So this is what happened to me. And so for the past 4 years, I was literally studying the subject. I'm very passionate about it. I read plenty of books, I watched plenty of videos, interviews, I did plenty of workshops, lectures. Anything which came my way, I kind of took it. Yes, so yes. So this is where I am in the moment, but I'll tell you something. If you think that I accepted myself fully, not at all. Not at all. For example, last week when I was preparing this talk, I was criticizing myself badly because I told myself that I didn't have discipline, because I wanted this talk to be ready 1 month ago, and I actually started to type it last Wednesday and I finished this Sunday. So I had this conversation with me. Yanina, you as usually, you do things at the last moment, you understand how risky it is. you're gonna the talk not gonna be successful, and then you can blame only yourself. So this was my self-talk, and then I told myself, hold on a second. You are going to talk with people about self-love, okay? And now what you're doing, you're actually beating yourself up and saying that you're not good enough because you're you're doing things at the last moment. So I kind of brought myself back. Because now what's happening with me, when I start criticizing myself, I notice it. I notice it and I'm like, no, you calm down, back. So this is one thing. And then another thing, now you're gonna laugh, because, so I finished it on Sunday evening, and then I recorded it, and I started to listen to my recording, and obviously I didn't like it. Obviously, I didn't like my voice, I didn't like the tone of my voice, I was making mistakes. And you know what? I compared this talk, so this is my first public talk ever, I compared it with the talks of Dr. Wayne Dyer. So you know who Wayne Dyer is. So Wayne Dyer it's a legend. Wayne Dyer, he died 2 years ago. He was an author, he wrote plenty of books. He was motivational speaker, lecturer, brilliant guy, full of wisdom. I love listening to his talks, I love reading his books, and actually why I compared myself with him, because on Saturday evening I was listening one of his talks. So imagine, Yanina compared her first talk with the talks of Wayne Dyer, which he did at the end of his career, and his career spanned for 45 years. So how mean it is to do it to myself, but I did it. But then actually I realized how ridiculous it was, and I was like, okay, you just stop it straight away. And actually now talking to you, I'm still thinking, is it good enough what I'm saying? You know, maybe you don't like it at all. So yes, let me just check the time. Yeah, it's good, we have 15 minutes left. So what the consequences of fully accepting yourself? So this is amazing. So once you step on this road of fully accepting yourself, what happens? First of all, you start being kinder to yourself, because you allow yourself not to be perfect, because you understand that, you know, again, like we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We have equal amount of light and darkness in us, and it's okay not to be perfect. But you will believe it when you train it a little bit. So you become kinder to yourself, you show more self-compassion to yourself. You, straight away, you learn how to set up boundaries for everybody in your life. Friends, family, partner, children, parents, because parents very often they need boundaries as well. Co-workers and everybody. And if people step on your boundaries, you saying, guys, carefully, this is my territory, just back up. And then there is another thing, you start saying no easily, more easy. Because you, so first of all, you say no to people, and you don't feel guilty for saying no, because it's just no. And you don't feel guilty, you don't apologize for saying no, you don't play the thing in your mind 20 times. Just no is no, that's it. So what are the benefits? Oh yes, so you start actually finally believing that you deserve things. So you deserve if you want a partner, you choose among the people who will treat yourself with the respect you deserve. If you want a job, you actually, well, you get a job where you treat it with certain respect, you know, and you're earning the money which you believe you deserve to earn. And changes happen in every area of your life. Another thing, magic. So you become less judgmental, because, and this is, I'm telling you, this is the truth, what happened to me. Because you judge less yourself, so automatically you judge less other people, or you don't judge them at all. And what happens to me now, I still judge people sometimes, especially when I speak with some of my friends. So sometimes we start judging, like over the phone, start like gossiping about somebody, and then we're like, hold on a second. Now we're judging. Who are we to judge this person? We don't know anything, what happened before in childhood and so on. So you just kind of tell yourself to stop straight away, you know. And so yes. So the flip side of actually accepting yourself, there will be flip side. First of all, unfortunately, you will have to let some people go from your life, because not everybody gonna like the changes which happened or are happening in you. But for example, again, imagine if I'm with the partner who treats me badly, and all of a sudden I start asking my partner not to talk to me this way, and I start rebelling. So obviously my partner, who used for me to be submissive all the time and accept all the nonsense, my partner will be like, hold on a second, what's going on here? Why is she opening her mouth and telling me not to do these things to her? So some people naturally are going to exit our life. It can be partner, it can be some friends. and again, because you will raise your vibrational frequency, so you will go up here towards love, and some people in your environment, they will stay there, so you will not meet anymore. It's going to be mismatch. So also I think you will notice that you will let some friends go, because with some friends, the only thing you do and you have in common is it gossips. So you meet for a drink and you start gossiping about everybody you know in common. So this is like the core of the friendship. So those friends, probably they will go as well. But I think it's okay, because not everybody is meant to stay in our life forever. So we need to let people go. And maybe with some of the people, it's not necessary that you will separate or part forever, but you will just go like this and then you will meet again. It happens as well. It happened in my life. Yes. Oh, I love this. Can I give you a quote? This is beautiful. So, how do you find self-love? How do you find self-love? You dig, you isolate, and you ache from being lonely. You heal, you accept, you look in the mirror, and you see God. This one, I don't know who is the author, but I got it on Instagram, and I think it's beautiful. And so what I have to say that yes, the journey towards the self-love, it's a rocky one. It's gonna take you time, but it's so worth doing. So now, the last one, tips, how to start finally loving yourself, or just accepting yourself more, or being more kind to yourself. I'm not gonna go into details here, because you can just Google, 10 ways of loving myself today, 15 ways of being kind to myself tonight. So, but what I have to say here, that I think you need to be, first of all, you need to decide that you want to change, and that you had enough of all this nonsense of telling yourself during all your life that you're not good enough in anything. This is the first thing. And then just be open probably to just read everything, watch everything which comes your way, and you know that there is huge amount of books out there, and articles and talks, but the things which are meant to be for you, which will be beneficial for you, they will come your way. The right book will fall off the shelf. Then there is very powerful thing. You just notice how you talk to yourself, because somebody, very often we're very mean to ourselves, and we call ourselves idiot, I'm so stupid, I'm a stupid cow, and so on. So this you need to stop straight away. And you know what, in one of the interviews recently which I watched, so the person said, if I talk to my friends the way I talk to me, I would be in jail already. And this is so true. My mom is the big fan of insulting herself. We had a conversation with her about it. So yeah, it's a bad habit. So just notice every time you talk to yourself how kind you are. And also, I mean, it's easier to say than to do. You need to become your own best friend. It's difficult, right? So when you're not nice to yourself, just ask yourself, would I say this to my best friend? Would my best friend appreciate it? And would my best friend still stay my best friend after me having said this to her or to him? And there is the last thing I'm going to say about this, what you can do in order to kind of become more self-loving and self-loving. You need to have your cheerleaders. Supporting. Cheerleaders is such an American word. So, and this is super important, and I'm telling you from my experience. So I have 2 friends, I call them cosmic friends. And what happened that accidentally we started to walk this path towards self-acceptance together. We didn't agree on this, it just happened. So both of them used to live in London, not anymore. And basically what happened that we always exchanged some information. We always said to each other, listen, I read this book of Deepak Chopra, you need to read it, or Marianne Williamson, or Gabi Bernstein. I read this article, I'm going to send you the link, it's amazing. So we were always exchanging information between 3 of us. And then also, sometimes when I feel small and I feel that I'm nothing, and it happens to me sometimes, quite often, what I'm doing, I'm leaving one of them or both of them a voice message on WhatsApp. This is how I communicate with my friends, and I'm like, you know what? Today is just not my day. This is horrible. So I don't know what to do. No, like when I'm starting anything which happening in my life, and when I feel really small, and when I don't manage to bring myself back together by myself. So I'm calling them, leaving the message, and then they will come back to me. Sometimes one of them, sometimes both of them, and they say, Yanina, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to feel like this. I also feel like this sometimes, and that's okay. Tomorrow will be another day. So if you feel that today, it's not your day at all. If you can, just stay at home, be kind to yourself, make a nice cup of tea, stay on your bed, watch Netflix, and accept what is. Surrender to this misery inside of you today. And it helps tremendously. And I honestly, I hope they know how I appreciate their presence in my life. I'm very grateful to them, to both of them, that they are my friends. And I wouldn't be where I am in relationship with self-love without them, because they are my support. So yes, I know that it's easier because I know that girls, we usually share. Whether it's guys, I don't know how to do, because you don't share that much, but you need to have your support team, you need to have your cheerleaders who will tell you, you know what, it's okay, that's okay. Yes, and the last quote for tonight, and that's it. So, surround yourself with people who lift you higher. And this is Oprah who said it. You know, Oprah, she knows everything. So if Oprah said it, it means it's absolute truth. So just, yes, try to avoid people who put you down. Don't share your dreams or your vulnerable things with people who you know will never understand you. It's okay not to tell to everybody everything about you and about what's going on in your life. I'm not telling everything about myself to everybody. Yes, because I'm taking care of myself. So I think I'm done. I have nothing else to say. Yeah, I hope it was helpful, and I hope that you learned. I'm so scared to look on the audience, you know. I hope that you learned something. I know it was very basic, but I would need more time to talk about serious things. And yes, basic things are nice sometimes. So, guys, do you have any questions?
Your talk was brilliant, really, really good.
Oh, thank you.
At the beginning you said you read a book on self-love, and who was the author?
Okay, his name is David Hamilton,
Oh yeah.
the PhD David Hamilton. Do you know him?
Well, I read a few books, but I don't know which one.
Okay, so this one is called I Heart Myself. There is a big red heart on the cover. I recommend it to you because it's
This
very...
one I haven't read, so...
I think it's one of his latest. I got it 2 years ago. Very simple, but I mean, I met him in person twice in my life. He's brilliant.
I met him as well in a cancer charity.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. And also the book is written in very, very simple language. He gives plenty of examples. And actually, when I was preparing for this talk, I was like highlighting the things, you know. So yes, I do recommend this book. I Heart Myself. Any more questions?
You're coming from Russia, so finding your way around here in this mixed cultures. Do you mix cultures?
What do you mean, Akhil?
You know, coming from Russia and coming to Paris and then
Okay,
a little bit of mix, right?
Yes.
There's a few differences. Can you talk more about that, or you can have more jokes there?
But what do you want to know exactly? No, I can't talk about the difference between Russia and France and...
different ways of being accepted and, you know.
You know what I think? To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I don't think that it, like... Hold on a second.
I think if you have any material on that, but if you don't...
No, I think... Listen, I think it doesn't matter where we were born, in which country we were born. It actually more matters which parents raised us. Because if your parents or my parents know this thing about self-love and self-acceptance, like let's leave self-love on the side, self-acceptance, they will teach you that you are enough just the way you are. So you don't need to prove your parents, you know, that you have good grades and that's why you're a good boy, you know. You don't need to be the best in sports and only this they will love you because you're the best. No. They will tell you, you know what, Akhil? You're just perfect. The way you were born, you're our son, you're kind, you're funny, you know exactly what you need to know and that's fine. And just spread your kindness. That's it. And I think that seriously, I think people suffer with this everywhere in the world. I don't know, maybe, you know, in States, because in States, like, they're more advanced in all the self-development things. Maybe there are more people who, because you know what, I noticed a lot of children of celebrities, sometimes like they post on Instagram, "Mom, thank you so much for teaching me to accept myself the way I am." Yeah, probably. So, yes. but I think it's the same problem everywhere, and especially in Russia. Yeah, so bad.
What do you do with parents who boost their children, over-compliment them, and then they think they're fantastic when, you know, it's totally unrealistic, and then they...
You know what, this is such a good question, actually.
Yeah.
And I will tell you something, I don't know the answer, but I was thinking about it, because that's true, actually. You know what, the only thing I will tell you, obviously parents need to be educated. They need to find the balance between not praising the child at all and giving some praise to the child. So I guess just
Be honest.
sorry.
I think her question I thought about, like sometimes find or met the person, they were sometimes when they are humble, like for example, I don't know if you watch X Factor many years ago, Leanna Lewis, she was extremely humble.
Mm-hmm.
So then Simon Cowell said, "I think you are more than what you think."
Okay.
So he said that was the best quality of her.
Mm-hmm.
But I went through all what you through. I find it quite amazing. There are a lot of similarity, and this is amazing your talk. And then I thought about try to balance this two as well. I think, am I too arrogant or am I too like a self-doubt? Because I met people, they were so arrogant, and I met people, they were so brilliant and they were so humble, and then I don't know how to like balance this. You are confident, but you are not arrogant, and you are humble, but you are not self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So I find this is hard to balance. Like her question.
I'm gonna add something. You know what? I know for sure. This is my teacher when I was doing my coaching course.
Yeah.
She said that, guys, anyway, even if you read all the psychology books in the world, you will still make mistakes as parent. You will still make mistakes.
Yeah.
So I guess, yes, you need to find the balance between praising too much and not praising at all. But also, I guess, you know, there is a difference between saying, I love you because you have the best student in your class, or to say, listen, I love you for who you are because you're a sweet girl. That's it. So you see, there is the difference. And yes, but I think
if you're an absolutely dreadful child,
there's one.
a real problem, what do? You can't say I love you as you are. You've got to discipline. I mean, sometimes parents can be overindulgent and don't discipline. And I just wonder also if you're an only child, whether that's the difference than if you've got a sibling.
I have no answer to
Parents with an only child, all their attention is on that one child, and it can be suffocating.
I don't know what to say, to be honest with you.
Oh.
I'm not the only child, I have a brother, but you know what, I think it's really, I mean, I'm sure there will be a person who will be able to answer you this question. Somebody.
Here.
Yes, so.
Well, I have a daughter who's 19 now. She's an only child. I brought her up on my own. And at the beginning, I had lots of people saying, "You are raising a brat," because I was allowing her things. But I was quite clear that as I was giving her a lot of attention, but I had very clear boundaries about, no, you cannot do this, and this is why you cannot do this. This will be harmful to you, it might be harmful to someone else. But in terms of, there's an old newspaper and she started tearing it up, I thought, I kept asking, what harm is that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she is not spoiled, she's very attentive to other people, she's very caring about other people, because I think I gave her a lot of attention and love. I was there for her, and I gave her support, but I was quite clear about saying no to things, very, very clear. So there was one friend there was a gap where he saw her when she was 5 or 6, he was quite surprised. And that's when I realised he thought 3 years before that she was turning into a brat. But I think there's a difference between giving attention and meeting a child's needs and setting boundaries. I didn't allow all kinds of, oh yes, you can have this, or yes, you can have that. It wasn't in her interest to have a load of sweets, you know, and so I didn't give her sweets. I said, you will have bad teeth, or you will get fat, and I don't want that for you. So giving attention, giving love, meeting their needs as opposed to their wants. I think that's important.
I'm only one child.
Sorry?
I'm the only one child.
You're the only child, only child.
Yeah. So it was.
Well, I'm the oldest of 5.
Yeah.
And my parents were struggling. They were immigrants, and they were working very hard, and we were very poor. They did not give us attention. My mother was just, you know, worry, worry, worry. I did not get attention, and I was constantly seeking attention. I was trying to help her and to try and get her attention, to listen to me, to take notice. It just wasn't happening. And I guess I turned that round by saying, I'm going to give my daughter attention, but still give her, you know, not indulge her. Just.
You know, I'm looking back at my childhood. I have very good parents. My parents gave me plenty of freedom. I could do whatever I wanted to do. But I wish I could be praised a little bit more. So they never put me down. They never punished me for anything. Like I was like, my parents are not hippie, but like I think they have the mentality of hippie. But I wish they told me, you know, that's okay not to know this. That's okay not to be good in physics. That's okay to be good in math because you're good in English or in literature. It's okay not to read this book. You know, for example, my father, he has this habit, because my father he's a reader, he's a man with the book in his hand all the time. So what he likes to say, and I know it's his habit, so he doesn't mean any bad when he says it, but he says it all the time. For example, he would tell me, you know, Dostoevsky in his novel, Brothers Karamazov, this has happened. And I would be like, Dad, but you know, I haven't read this novel. And he would say, well, my darling, you should be ashamed not to know this novel, because you know, Russian people, it's Russian classics, we have must-read books. And so I again lived until 4 years ago thinking that I was not good enough because I didn't read all the books which a good girl should read. But it's now, and I had this conversation with my father, I said, you know what, you stop saying this to me, it's enough. I'm reading the books which I'm reading, and that's enough. Have you read Deepak Chopra? He's like, what? No. Have you read Marianne Williamson? No. So we stop here. And yes, but I hate Dostoevsky because I was always like, somebody pointed fingers saying, no, he doesn't read Dostoevsky.
That was very nice talk, especially as you say, that's the first one for you. And I catch some points for me as well in that things that you are developing in yourself. And I had a question, why you decide to, and how you decide that you need to become in the public to share that, because you are in your way to love yourself more and more and
you know what?
develop in public life.
Because I honestly, like, from all my heart, I think it's very important. I really,
share with people.
Yes, people need to, like, children need to have this subject in school, like, you know, it needs to be mandatory, self-love, self-acceptance, self-compassion. I didn't know about it, and you know what, I'm thinking now, because again, back 10 years ago, so when I was 27, I wish somebody took me by my hand and said, Yanina, listen, so now I'm going to explain you a couple of things, what self-love is, what self-compassion, because I end up this relationship with the passive-aggressive guy 10 years ago, and I was a wreckage, because I thought I was nothing. So I wish somebody explained me a couple of things back then. But I didn't have a clue what self-acceptance is. It's something new to me. So that's why I think, you know, the more I talk about it publicly, then you will speak with somebody and somebody else will speak with somebody, and this is how it's going to spread. It's a very important thing. Yeah. So I'm going to fight for it.
Very brave from you.
Thank you very much.
Very brave.